Well, they got people out. I think I'm on, but I don't know if you are. Are you on? Yeah, you're on. Okay.
Shall we start? Good morning, everyone. And Happy New Year. My name is Steve Espinosa, and I'm your worship associate today. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples. Welcome to everyone here in the sanctuary, to those out on the pavilion, and to those watching at home on Facebook Live. Whether you're here for the first time or have been part of this congregation for many years, we are glad you're with us today. Anyone here for the first or second time today? Oh, good. Welcome. Welcome very much. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we embrace diversity in all its forms, working together to build a more just, inclusive, and loving world. We welcome people of every background, belief, identity, and life experience, recognizing that our strength comes from our openness to one another. And here there is no single path to truth, only the light we bring to one another as we explore the mysteries of life together. Whether you are here in search of meaning, connection, or simply a moment of peace, know that you are welcome just as you are. And now, Tony for his welcome and some announcements.
Good morning. My name's Tony Fisher. I serve this congregation gratefully as minister. This morning I have a tremendous gratitude, and I'm grateful for the presence of Susan Bergeron, who's our guest musician today. Welcome, Susan. Susan's been playing cello since a very young age, and ultimately she graduated from the New England Conservatory of Music with honors. Following that, she spent a few seasons as a member of the New World Symphony Orchestra as principal cellist. The New World Symphony is America's orchestral academy, which takes. Susan holds her master's degree from the University of Akron and a doctorate of music arts from the University of Miami. She's a cellist with the Naples Philharmonic Orchestra, and among so many other professional activities, she's an active chamber musician who's performed extensively in South Florida and throughout the country as a founding member of the D'Alberghi Trio, and for the past 19 summers with the Palm Beach Chamber Music Festival. She's been a member of the Naples Phil since 2006, so welcome back, Susan. It's great to have you here. And of course, she joins our co-music directors, Abby and Sean Allison. Great to have you here, too. All right, a few quick announcements. Right after the service today, there's a new to UU orientation. If you're interested in finding out more about this congregation and Unitarian Universalism, join me here in the sanctuary after you've had a chance to get some coffee. It'll be about an hour-long thing. We do it fairly regularly, so we would look forward to seeing anybody who's interested in finding out more. On the top of the bill today is the Richard Bosworth recital. This is part of our 50th anniversary celebration. Richard was our music director for a number of years, overlapping when I first arrived here. An incredible pianist, and if you haven't got a ticket yet, I urge you to get one after the service today. And at the same time, if you're socially minded, oriented, you can catch the bus outside to the vigil today at Alligator Alcatraz. We'll try to get the bus to stop a little bit further down. That's taking off from here at exactly 2 o'clock as well. Next Sunday, we are going to be blessed with the presence of the president of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, Mary Catherine Moore. She'll be delivering the sermon next Sunday. I'll be here as well. And she's going to join us on the bus to the vigil at the detention center. So what I'm asking is everybody get their yellow shirts if you haven't already. Talk to Steve if you haven't. And wear them next Sunday at 2 o'clock, and we'll take the bus down to the vigil together. I know there's some UUs from the East Coast coming who always wear their yellow shirts, and I'm trying to get the folks up the coast to join us as well. So I hope we have a big sea of yellow outside of the detention center next Sunday. On Wednesday this week, we have a Wonderful Wednesday, which means a short Vesper service followed by a shared meal. And Ann Roberts is going to give her Odyssey on Wednesday evening, so that should be great as well. Tickets are again on sale after the service for the Daryl Davis event on February 1st. If you don't know about that, then check out the newsletter. Daryl Davis is known as the Klan Whisperer. He has converted almost 200 individuals away from the Ku Klux Klan. He's an incredible musician as well, so he'll be joining us on the first in the service to play some music, and then in the afternoon to give us some sense of what he does, and also a little bit of a performance. So look forward to that. Now, let's take a deep breath as we settle into this time of worship and enjoy our prelude. In the first glimpse of the morning, the world begins to take shape. The brightening sky infuses a familiar landscape with its glow as it slowly reveals itself. Blessed morning. Oh, to have another day, another year, to wake from whatever night thoughts dwell within, to rise and have the world unfold before us, where the possible unwinds into the actual, where dreams await their fulfilling, where we meet once again to live into the hope that brings us together. Blessed morning. Let's join in the chalice lighting response that you'll see on the screen and in your orders of service. May this flame stir our hearts and remind us of our mission, to be truly welcoming, to grow in mind and spirit, and to widen the circle of peace, justice, and love. And let's rise in body or spirit and join in singing our opening hymn. It's number 1000 in the Teal hymnal, Morning Has Come. The words will be on the screen.
Morning has come, arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. A new day dawns, once more the gift is given, and earth feels this moment shared together. The light of peace here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. Open our eyes, one plea that life abounds. Open hearts to welcome it among us. The light of love here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home.
Please be seated. Oh, that was good. The Reverend Eric Walker Wickstrom, who preceded me in my internship, ministerial internship in Concord, Massachusetts, tells a story about a man who considered himself spiritual, religious perhaps, but still who carried around a lot of questions. And one day he decided to visit he tried to find some answers to his questions. So he decided to visit a well-known mystic and ask for an audience. When they were sitting face to face, he said, "I think of myself as a spiritual person on a search for truth and meaning. And one of the things I'd like to know is if God exists. You're so highly honored in your spiritual depth, so I've come to ask you." Sensing the seriousness of the seeker's question, the mystic invited him to join her in meditation. And after sitting for quite some time, meditating and expanding on the heart consciousness to embrace the totality of all things, the mystic answered, "I'm not sure what you mean by the word God, but I do know that this world is richer, fuller, more mysterious and more wonderful than you or I could ever imagine. And I know that you and I are part of something so much larger than our own lives. Perhaps this something larger is what you seek." Now, not exactly sure that this was totally fulfilling, but thinking that it was moving in the right direction, the seeker continued his quest. He traveled to a prestigious university and asked to meet with a famous physicist. When they were seated across the table from each other, he asked the same basic question. "I think of myself as a thoughtful person on a search for truth and meaning. And one of the things I'd like to know is if God exists." The scientist, understanding the earnestness of the question, asked for some time to formulate a response. And so she thought. She thought about the vastness of the universe, 160 billion light years across and growing. She thought about the almost immeasurable smallness of a quark. She thought about the mysteries of quantum physics and how the energy of the Big Bang fuels her own heart. And then she answered, I don't know what you mean by the word God, but I do know that this world is richer, fuller, more mysterious, and more wonderful than either of us could imagine. And I know that you and I are part of something much larger as individuals than we could think of. Perhaps this something larger is what you seek. The man returned home and sat looking out the window and thinking for a long while. He thought of what he knew and what he didn't know. He thought about how he knew what he knew and how he knew that he didn't know what he didn't know. He thought about his experience of the world and how life was made up of, his life was only made up of only one tiny infinitesimal part of all existence. He thought about the times in his life when he felt very independent, only realizing later that it was a fiction he was telling himself. He thought about his dependence on family and on friends and on forces larger that as he awakened to his surroundings, he thought of what a gift it was to be a part of this incredible universe. And he began to wonder what he might do to live more fully and more generously into this incredible world. Our centering this morning is life remains will be on 20 in the hymnal.
Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart, as I come back, oh, in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the land, giving life, shape of justice. Who told me on Soblaolan, Suben Laman, hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arraigame, ven a mí, ven a mí.
Welcome to this caring community, this space in which we can share with one another things. Our flowers today are from yesterday's celebration of love for John Womack. It was a wonderful service. We were able to share some of John's own words in that ceremony. So we're grateful for this reminder of John Womack. If you have joy or sorrow you'd like to share, please raise your hand. I'll bring you the microphone. Tell us your name and briefly, please, what's in your heart.
Hi, my name is Ann. I have two joys. Yesterday we had the wonderful memorial for John, which was well attended and so thoughtful. And then we had a poster party down in the other wing, the children's wing, and we made posters for the upcoming Martin Luther King parade. It was so much fun. But my other joy really touches deeper into my soul. I was driving out to get some shopping done, and I had a flat tire. And I was on a busy highway. So I'm busy looking in my phone for the AAA number. And at that same moment, someone tapped on my window. And I rolled it down, and he said, "Could I help you, ma'am?" He actually said, "Mama." So "Can I help you, Mama?" I said, "Well, I'm calling." He said, "No, it takes too long." He said, "I'll do it." So he changed my tire on a busy road. And then he said, "Where are you going now? I must follow you to make sure you get there safely." So I said, "I'm going back to Tires Plus to have my tire fixed." So then he said, "I'll follow you." He followed me all the way back to Bonita Springs, and he wouldn't take any money for anything he did. He spent at least 50 minutes with me. And I thought, there are good people in this world. This has renewed my faith and my hope for humanity. And also, I must say, he spoke very little English. Thank God.
Union in Tennessee, where all of Don's children, all 6 of them, one from Australia, one from Seattle, one from Chicago, one from New Orleans, and 2 from Tennessee. Anyway, we spent about a week and a half enjoying little kids and big kids. And we're very glad to be back, though. Tennessee was not near as nice as Naples.
Thanks, Katie. Anyone else?
Good morning. My name is Dennis Naiman. I'm here to share a sadness. A childhood friend of mine, Theodore Masseri, will be united with the reef on Monday as his ashes are scattered in the Gulf of Mexico. He made an influential paper entitled "The Unicorn, the Normal Curve, and Other Improbable Creatures," which argued that the real-world psychological and achievement data rarely follow the bell-shaped normal distribution that many statistical methods assume, finding most large samples significantly non-normal. You can find that by checking the web, the unicorn and other improbable creatures.
Thank you, Dennis. Welcome back. Anyone else? Of course, all the way over on the other side.
Hi, I'm Pam Garabelli. I've been a member for over 20 years, probably 25, and I'm back as my annual January visit now because I left 5 years ago, but my heart has never left here. Still a member. I'm a YouTube sermoner now, and I see Tony and all of you on YouTube when I can make it on Sundays. Anytime I feel like I need a lift, I'll turn on YouTube and find any sermon I want. So my point, and it's not really a commercial, but you can be a member anywhere, anytime, because your home is always here. It's in your heart.
Thank you, Pam. Great to see you.
Good morning, I'm Ann Fisher. Our joy and sorrow are often woven closely together. I think some of you know that my brother's been having a health crisis, and that is continuing, although it seems as though we're getting some closer to some answers, and he's surrounded by his family with lots of love. So that's the sort of sorrow, concern, but the joy for both Tony and me is to share with you the great news that we will become grandparents in July.
With that great joy and those sorrows and concerns and ideas that have been shared, both spoken and unspoken, let us enter into a time of spoken and then silent meditation. Spirit of life. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. We bring ourselves into this room, our joys and our sorrows, our triumphs and our failures. We come sometimes with trepidation, fragile in the face of life's challenges. We come sometimes with exuberance, buoyed with wonder and awe. We come living with questions, knowing we'll never have all the answers. We come to be held in the embrace of a loving community. We come challenged to be our best selves. Life is ebb and flow, a striving for integrity and wholeness in the midst of a trouble and troubling world. At its best, this place, this home away from home, this house of hope, provides the nourishment we need to go back out the doors and be the heart and hands of compassion and justice. At its best, it's a place where the possible unwinds into the actual, where each of us, with all our faults and with all our talents, with all our fears and with all our hopes, find the courage and inspiration we need to live more fully, to be the change we want to see within ourselves and within the world. Let's share some time in silence. I think I may have asked you this before, but let me ask again, since it's a new year and my memory and perhaps yours is growing shorter with every year. How many of you had a dream where it's the end of the semester and you haven't made it to a single class and you haven't done any of the reading and the exam is the next day and your heart is tightening and you don't know what to do? How many of you had that dream? Oh, a good number of you. Now, interpreting dreams is not my area of expertise, and it's certainly not something any of you should try to do in public unless you've taken a lot of tests to get there. Nonetheless, a few years ago, another of my colleagues, Gary Kowalski, wrote a short reflection about this, sharing that he too had had this kind of dream, even though he was a good student and had never really worried about exams, something I don't understand at all. Kowalski suggests that this common experience actually has very little to do with school or classroom jitters, even though so many of us have been there. But it's more about that bigger test that each of us has to face. The items on that exam, he wrote, are the ultimate questions. Who am I? What am I afraid of? To whom or to what am I committed? Where is my own highest good calling me? This isn't just a dream about academic or work anxieties, he suggests. And it's not about the kind of dream that goes away with graduation or a retirement party. He suggests that it's really about our subconscious letting us know we may have gotten too far away from those values we once held dear, too wrapped up in living life with a lowercase l as opposed to a capital L. Though Unitarian Universalists believe our beliefs vary in terms of what we think happens to us after we die, we are universal in believing that it is what we do with this life before we die that is of primary importance. To the best of our knowledge, we're given only one go at this thing called life. There are no mulligans, no makeup, no wonder that we're occasionally tossing and turning in our sleep. Being our own exam proctor doesn't help since we're marvelously adept at self-deception. But as Kowalski says, sooner or later we'll need to look in the mirror and take stock of how we have chosen to spend our lives. For my part, I don't think this means that each one of us has to figure out how we're going to save the world by ourselves. It just means that on balance, when we have choices to make, we have stopped to consider not only what is best for us and those closest to us, but what's best for others and with the world in general. And also how they align those choices with those things we hold as fundamentally important. Or as theologian Paul Tillich put it, those things we think are of ultimate concern. What might be of ultimate concern to you, other than yourself? Would it be your family, your friends, your community, your nation, the planet? Perhaps it's something less concrete than that, like integrity or justice or love or God. Maybe for you it's money or power. Or maybe it's that connection with something larger than yourself. So much depends on your life experience. So much depends on your life situation. But the more we take time to look outside ourselves for the deeper connection, the more we'll have to work out what it means to be fully human in relationship with the world beyond our own skin, with family and friends, with our community, in relationship to society and the planet. And the more we'll have to wrestle with that question, what might I do to live more fully and more generously in relationship and in the world? Or as Gary Kowalski put it, to where or what is my highest good calling me? Almost 40 years ago, when Ann and I bought our first house and were making the transition from a new town to another and moving from one Unitarian Universalist congregation to another, I decided not to dive in right away and instead take a break from congregational life. Both of us had been deeply involved in our previous congregation, and near the time we were transitioning out, some things happened that were disappointing, let's say. You know how it is, you invest a lot of time and effort into something, and then when it doesn't turn out exactly as you're hoping, you're sort of discouraged. As my friend and fellow worker in the publishing industry would always say, when things don't go well, human beings were involved. Being an introvert and uneasy in new social situations, the choice of shying away from the new congregation was fairly easy. And there was added excuse of having plenty of work to do around the house. And as someone who's always found a spiritual connection in nature, I figured an occasional walk in the woods would be enough and fill my needs. What I failed to understand was how much that previous congregation had nourished and transformed me, had taken me out of that cocoon of self-orientation and self-protection, challenging me over and over again to consider those ultimate questions, widening my vision, showing me possibilities for growth, and the satisfaction that comes with community and service to others. It took a while, but at some point, this introvert knew he needed people and the comfort and the nourishment and the challenges offered by living and loving in community. And what I've learned over and over since then is that this Unitarian Universalist tradition and the congregations which are at its core can be a life-giving spring that flows in direct proportion to our willingness to give of ourselves individually and collectively, our ability to be open and ready for new perspectives and new visions, our ability to stay in relationships, and our dedication to the values we profess. Unitarian Universalists have always drawn insight and inspiration from the words and deeds of prophetic women and men throughout the ages and across the spectrum of beliefs and backgrounds. People who challenged us to confront powers of evil and with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. While I was in seminary, I was exposed to the writings of W.E.B. Du Bois, who during his lifetime was constantly challenging the status quo. As far back as 1903, in his book, The Soul of Black Folk, he wrote that there were 4 important questions that needed to be considered by every generation. Deep questions that you and I might well consider as we wonder where or what to what we are being called. First question Du Bois asked was, how shall integrity face oppression? How shall integrity face oppression? The second was, what does honesty do in the face of deception? The third, what does decency do in the face of insult? What does decency do in the face of insult? And the final question, and maybe the one that cuts to the heart of it all, was, how does virtue meet brute force? Because anybody who has the audacity to be fundamentally committed to integrity, honesty, and decency may, sooner or later, have to come to terms with brute force and a variety of forces that will try to silence you. These are questions that I find prophetic and totally pertinent 123 years later. And if you listen carefully, these are not really I questions. They're character questions, questions that we have to answer together. And this place, this tradition, this movement allows us space and encourages us to consider and discuss and act upon these deep issues. It's an exciting and challenging time for UUCGN. In the midst of celebrating our 50th anniversary, we're also developing a new strategic plan for how we will meet this moment and the years to come. And I don't think it's too late to infuse into the overall goals and the specific actions we might take some ongoing conversations about these deeper questions. Conversations that may not impact the details of a plan, but might underscore why we do what we do and how we want to go about relating to one another as we continue our journey. As mentioned, this is also the beginning of our 3-week pledge period, during which members are also asked to support this congregation with their financial commitments to our next fiscal year beginning April 1st. There's so much going on. So much going on. But this congregation of people, this community of seekers and doers, this place of caring and compassion has been and will continue to be a very special place. Where else are we encouraged to consider those ultimate questions? Not just the ones that come easily to our minds wrapped in our own social context, but those who are asked by people of different experience, like W.E.B. Du Bois. Where else can we practice living fully and generously, growing and discovering new ideas and new sources of wisdom? Where else can we be held in both times of joy and sorrow? Where else can we connect fully with this world that is richer, fuller, more mysterious, and more wonderful than any of us could ever imagine? Where else can we all strive to live more fully and more generously into that world? I submit to you that it is here, in this place, this laboratory of relationship, in this place of compassion and courage and caring, in this spiritual home where we are called to create that larger community. Here in this place, where we already have something really good going on, and where there are possibilities open to us as a congregation that are limited only by our imaginations and by our shared desire to be a beacon of hope, love, and justice for the greater community.
Each week serves as a symbol of the richness, joy, and caring that this congregation provides. With every act of generosity, we support not only the growth of our own spirits, but also the many hands that reach outward, touching lives in our wider community with kindness, hope, and love. Together, as a congregation, we exist and thrive only in relationship to the level of generosity we can muster. If you're watching on Facebook Live or viewing later on our YouTube channel, we have 3 options for you. You can send your offering to the address on your screen. You can go to the website and use the donate button, or you can use the QR code on the screen. This morning's offering will be gratefully received, and our ushers may come forward. Wow. Amazing. Say, have you ever attended a concert or a charity event and been struck by the incredible work an organization is doing in the community? Perhaps you've experienced the power of quality music, thoughtful presentation, and genuine care and hospitality, and found yourself thinking, wow, I want to be a part of that, whatever that is, you know? You begin to wonder, how could I support this organization? Do I have the financial resources to contribute? And what talents do I bring? And do I have the time to volunteer in some way? You simply know that this is something you feel passionate about, something you want to support and proudly stand behind in whatever way you can. And then as you watch the work continue and grow, you're able to sit back and say, I have a part in that. I belong. I am helping to make that happen. I have a seat at the table. That's exactly how my husband Ken and I felt when we first walked onto this campus almost 13 years ago. The people who welcomed us with such grace, this beautiful building and its gorgeous gardens, and that immediate feeling of community, and especially after moving here without knowing anyone, well, that made a lasting impression. Several months ago, Linda Allen, our finance chair, invited me to take on the role of spokesperson for the 2026-27 stewardship campaign. I gladly said yes, because this work truly matters. And today's the official beginning of that campaign. Now, the word stewardship, according to Google, means the careful, responsible management and protection of something entrusted to one's care. Resources, property, an organization, or even the environment, acting as a caretaker or trustee for the benefit of others or a higher purpose. Writing this reflection for today gave me the opportunity to look deeply at my own understanding of generosity, how it shapes my life, and how it finds expression through my gifts of time, talent, and treasure to this wonderful congregation, and invited me to reflect on what has kept me engaged and to share that with you in the hope that it might resonate or inspire. I've said this before, but being invited in and the privilege of belonging means a great deal to me. This congregation has offered countless opportunities for growth, for activism, and the simple yet profound feeling of being at home. It has also challenged me to step into leadership in meaningful ways. That can be scary. As a co-chair of the 50th Anniversary Celebration Planning Committee, I've had the opportunity to study our congregational's historical timeline, so thoughtfully assembled by Walt and Janice Foley, Sandy and Roger Brown, Mike and Barb Kirko, and Cotty Griffith, with the help of our wonderful office administrator, Anna Riazzi. Now, reading that timeline is deeply moving. It is a powerful testimony to passion, teamwork, and vision, Every investment of time, every careful plan, and every personal financial sacrifice came from a shared need. The need to create a space where like-minded people could come together. And wouldn't you agree, this is a special place? I think Tony's already asked that question. I read stories of how just a handful of people met at a community event, discovered they were Unitarians, and decided there should be a place here in Naples to gather. Those who came before us had the vision that became this campus and all that now thrives within these walls, as well as the work that reaches far beyond them into our wider community and the world. Now I remember sitting right over there one Sunday morning as a powerful thunderstorm rolled in. Rain poured down, the trees were swaying, and I found myself gazing out these windows, feeling safe, secure, and deeply grateful, while the full force of nature unfolded just outside. In that moment, I thought of the congregants who created this space so many years ago. And it is with that same gratitude that I stand here today, benefiting from that original vision. I'm reminded of these words by Albert Camus. Real generosity toward the future lies in giving all to the present. UCGN is far more than a building or a Sunday gathering. It is my spiritual home, a place where I am welcomed fully and without condition, exactly as I am. Here, I am free to question, to grow, to sing, to grieve, to celebrate, and to hope. This community nourishes my spirit and reminds me that faith can be both thoughtful and compassionate, grounded and expansive. What I value most is that this congregation honors many paths while holding us together through sacred values and shared values: love, justice, dignity, and the ongoing work of making the world more humane. In a time when division often feels louder than understanding, this community offers a living example of what it means to listen deeply, care broadly, and act with intention. When I give all that I can, I help ensure that this welcoming, courageous, and compassionate community remains strong, not only for me, but for those who are still searching for a spiritual home they may not yet know they need. I support this congregation because it matters. It matters in my life, it matters in our community, and it matters in a world that desperately needs spaces rooted in love, inclusion, and hope. By continuing to give of ourselves, we ensure that this congregation not only survives, but thrives for generations to come. Recently, in some of my reading, I came across the phrase, "Happy is the person who plants trees whose shade they will never sit under." That speaks to true altruism and legacy. I see what is happening on our campus, the shared mission of our committees, the events we host, our social justice activism, the forums we offer, and the richness of our Sunday services. I see our dedicated staff and the countless ways they keep the work of this congregation alive, vibrant, and moving forward. We have earned a strong and respected reputation in the wider community. We have a minister who walks his talk, showing up at school board meetings, city and county hearings, and standing in witness most every Sunday afternoon outside the Everglades Detention Center. And our congregation shows up as well. Well, that gives me confidence enough to share my faith with others. When we consider our financial contributions, it is important to also recognize how fortunate we are to have talented members who safeguard our resources, care for our facilities, and ensure our people are supported. Many have spent countless hours maintaining this campus, stewarding pledges and offerings, guiding legacy gifts, planning for our future through the Strategic Planning Task Force, and providing pastoral care to members, friends, staff, and lay leaders alike. Yes, this is a place I want to stand behind. It's why I show up. And it's why I'm here at this podium this morning. So in closing, I invite each of you to help make this year's stewardship campaign a great success. Thank you for your thoughtful consideration, for listening, and for your commitment. You belong here. UUCGN belongs to you because of your generosity and your care. Our financial giving isn't about obligation. It's an investment in a 50-year story of courage, compassion, and the future we are still writing together. Cheers and Happy New Year to each of you. Thank you very much.
Closing hymn, Wake Now My Senses. It's number 298 in the gray hymnal. The words will be on the screen.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of your being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer the limit and praise the sublime. Wake now compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as your neighbor both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end. Wake now my vision of ministry clear. Brighten thy pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care.
Trust in the promise of this time. Unfurl yourself into the grace of a beginning that is at one with your life's desire. Awaken to your spirit of adventure. Hold nothing back. Learn to find ease in risk. Soon you will be at home in a new rhythm, for your soul senses the world that needs you, a world that awaits you. Let's find our way together in peace and in love. Have a wonderful day.